So we have a master's in management, information systems, and digital innovation, and our students go on into amazing roles in consultancy and various kind of IT transformation leadership positions. And I started a long time ago, and I'd acquired this course, which is a core course in the masters on innovating digital systems. Before I came, and when I came, it was so dull. It was a 10-week group project where they were given a problem at the start called the Big Bookstore, and then they worked on drawing various diagrams over 10 weeks, knocking on my office hours door, asking me about their diagrams. And I've worked as a programmer in industry, and I know that that's not the seat of your pants lifestyle of actually working in IT design and IT innovation. At the same time, talking to some of our alumni about consultancy, they were like, the problem we have is we're not preparing for assessment centers, we're not preparing for the stress, etc., of getting these jobs. So kind of what could we do? And then we'd done something a little earlier, but when the change in timetable happened and we suddenly had a reading week, we thought, hang on, why don't we just fill that entire week? Forget reading and everything. Let's just fill that week with the group project. So take the whole 10 weeks, compress it into 1 week, and run it as a sprint week. So that was the idea. And the aim was to give us a real experience of what it's like to undertake, under stress, a systems development or design innovation project as close to the real world as you can get. So Jake Knapp here at Google Ventures have created this 1 week sprint with, this is the kind of Monday to Friday, in his book, which is widely used in industry. And it's become cool. It's kind of part of the agile movement. Everyone was talking about sprint. And the idea is you solve digital design problems in 5 days. Now, I've been doing some work with Roland Berger over in Berlin. They're a management consultancy, essentially management strategy. They're kind of like McKinsey, but they're very European and Asian, so you're probably not heard of them. And I was talking to them about this idea, and they said, hey, that's cool, we'd like to be involved. You should speak to the people that we work with in our innovation center who also do this alongside Visa. So Roland Berger introduced me to Visa. We had some conversations, and the first year, so we decided to run this week. The first year, I persuade Roland Berger to be involved, and then they drag along a guy from Visa. I'll be honest. He turned up like, what is this? Where am I? I've got my 5 slides. I'll tell you about Visa. And we wanted them to set a problem. And the idea was you come along on Monday, set the problem. He's like, yeah, I'll write 10 to 11. And I'm leaving at 12:15. Like, do you get me that time? And then he came up on Friday with the idea he'd evaluate it as part of the evaluation. Anyway, on the Friday of the first year, he came along and was like, took me aside and said, 3 of these ideas are in development. 2 of the ideas we worked on, this is brilliant, we're back next year. And since then, Visa have been involved every year because they see just how cool our students are, if they're really honest. And both have seen this as a major recruitment. So I kind of press them very hard to be part of this. They throw money in, they throw resources in, people fly in and help. It's been a big thing for them. And the LSE brand obviously is helped. The other thing that's helped is this space over in the library. We haven't got enough whiteboards, which is always a fight. What if we had? It would be so much better. But anyway, we have this space, groups of 6. So they break in. So I am managing 17 or 18 parallel sprints. So really, I'm just orchestrating the students to run their sprints, and they given a problem by Visa at the start of the week. So they all come in, and about 11 o'clock, Visa say what the problem is. This year it was, we just dropped £500 million of marketing budget on Visa's sponsorship of Paris Olympics. We need an app. We want an app that ideally helps Parisians feel part of the Olympic Games rather than just an app for people going to the Olympic Games. Cool problem, right? And they're like, how do we design a technology that addresses a real problem that Visa are actually addressing? There's another picture of me standing. So I have a group structure, and we impose the groups on them. Nobody gets to choose who their groups is. Like in the real world, you don't tend to get to choose who you work with. So why would you here? No chance. And then you also, they're given a dice. So one of their first tasks in the week is to throw the dice to choose who the CEO is. So of the group of 6, one of them is called the decider. That's the CEO of the group. They throw a dice, which means they all know that the person who's in charge didn't necessarily choose to be in charge. And again, kind of reflects the real world better than, them, the biggest person in the room shouting. It's often, and it's really nice because you see so many different personalities being the decider. That leaves 5, which is 5 days. And each person of the other 5 have to facilitate a day because there's no way I can keep this going. So every day they're a different person who facilitates their group for the day. Their job is to make sure they deliver what they're supposed to deliver. At the end of the day, they keep to time, they make sure they have breaks, that's the facilitator's job. So at the end of the week, they can either say I was group leader, I was decider, or I facilitated my sprint week. This is again thinking how they can talk to their, on their CV, how they can talk about this in assessment centers, etc. Every moment of the day is planned. So every day, let me just move this up a little bit. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that's it. So every day is directed and they have these day sheets. So every morning about 10 o'clock, they get handed out these pieces of paper. That's important because it means they really don't know what they're supposed to do until the morning. So they can't work through the night, really. They do, but they can't. There's kind of a break there. So every day is directed with these day sheets. This is Monday, state of the landscape from a visa, the group work introducing the case. This is rolling the dice with the decider. You have to set the long-term goals, and you just follow the script. It only runs from 10 till 5. The work should be handed in at 5 o'clock because it's all on paper, and we put it in a room in LSE Live. So they shouldn't take it home. Some of the groups do, but I'm like, well, if you do and you lose it and leave on the train, that's your problem. We're not getting in that. And they're given timers, which is part of sprint methods to do that. My big thing is trying to balance the stress of making it work and feeling real with the kind of the desire not to stress them out. Remembering this is reading week. They've only been at the LSE 6 weeks. This counts 40% of the course. There's a big chunk of the course. So a big part of it is kind of trying to relax them and make them enjoy this process and get them to learn the stress and the experience of doing it. And they keep sort of, I think I put on another slide, they sort of need some skin in the game, but that's what the marks are for. But really, it's kind of trying to balance that. And one of the phrases I just threw out, because I'm in the room while it's going on, at one point I sort of stopped them and said, look, some of the groups were really panicking. I'm like, look, you're not that good. You're not going to come up with some world-changing thing. And then the students sort of grabbed that and were like, Will said, you're not that good. And they thought it really funny that I was like saying this. But I was saying, basically, you're not going to solve the whole issue that Visa are setting you in 5 days. Come on, be realistic on what you can do. And that was written about in one of the letters that one of the groups wrote to the future students, and it kind of comes back in and they know it, that you're not that good. Seems to count. The other side is to make sure that there are social events going on so that they actually really enjoy. I mean, the other reason for this, by the way, is 6 weeks into the course, we're getting them together in one space where they really get to know some people. They get to meet the other groups. They get to see what the other groups are doing. So there's no idea that you're working in a vacuum. You all work in the same space, although we often now have breakout rooms so that they can go and work, more quietly. We didn't do that for the first couple of years, but COVID meant that we got used to the idea of that. And COVID was a nightmare. But this idea that you see what the other groups do, which is sort of also normalizes what they're doing. And the social drinks on a Monday, pizza night on a Wednesday, and then a party on the Friday. And I usually get, Roll and Burger always fund the pizza night. These are often help with the party, so that's kind of that helps it work. Some pictures of the students running it during COVID. I just thought I'd share this because it was, you had to run 18 parallel groups for 1 week entirely from home. That was my diary. I was they clustered them in together. I'm jumping around. So Jake, by the way, comes in and helps. So Jake Knapp, who authored Sprint, does a Q&A every year. he's there dancing, teaching them to dance on the sprint while we were doing it. 100 people on that call. The outputs are amazing, and Visa have kind of acknowledged that, and that's really kind of great and a big part of it. The other thing I do and insist on is feedback. So this started with COVID. So my big concern when we were doing during COVID was that I wasn't going around and talking to all the groups and getting a feel for the room. So I had this idea of a daily check-in to get a feel for how they were doing. And that I've carried on. And it's been a kind of nice way to just get a feedback every day on how things are and what things are doing. And then it has to have something in terms of assessment, right? So I had 2 parallel streams for assessment. The first thing is everything is submitted by noon on Friday. So they are done at noon on Friday. And then we have the semi-finals. The reason it's called the semi-finals is because then they can all write in their CV that they got into the semi-finals. So all the groups are in the semi-finals, and they present to me, to Visa and Roland Berger, anyone who's around really. But then in a selection of those, the kind of the top 5 get taken into the Dragon's Den in the afternoon. And I purposefully make sure that Visa and Roland Berger are outnumbered by other friends, basically, of mine. So people, from industry, so that it doesn't feel like you're just talking to Visa. So during the week, you can say, look, you're not answering to Visa, you're just trying to design the best thing you can because you don't know who's going to judge this. So that's the kind of Dragon's Den. The winners have now, the last few years, been invited to Visa Global Innovation Hub, and they present to Visa's Global Innovation team with the winning prize. But the LSE assessment is after that week, and that's slow. So the actual mark they get for the LSE is just done by me and whoever's teaching alongside me. It's based on a very precise criteria of their delivery. It's nothing to do with the quality of the innovation and how cool it is. It's about, do they apply the systems development tools that we taught them in the first 6 weeks of the course effectively and efficiently. And that means that the groups during the week are balancing, coming up with a cool idea that they can sell to the Dragons with actually applying what we're talking about, which is the theoretical knowledge of how to design and innovate systems. And those groups that win in the Dragon's Den are often those who don't do as well with the consistency and coherence and the design of the process. And it also means that when you're on Thursday and students are panicking, you can say, look, not everyone's going to get in the Dragon's Den. I think if you're worried about that, you can't do anything about that. But look, this diagram's done, this is done, this is done. You're not going to have an impact on that. That's the Dragon's Den this year. So PA Consulting, this guy's an executive from Amazon Web Services. She's in insurance area. He's a serial entrepreneur there. Guy from Visa, my friend Nate from Visa. The panic is a kind of big thing. So one of the things I say at the start of the week is, look, it's really hard to fail and do badly in sprint week because you're going to need to persuade your whole group that that's a good idea because they're going to be working against you failing. It's highly group project, Mark. You're going to have to, we're going to come around and check your group. So you're going to have to do a good project and then submit a bad one. So basically you can't fail it because we'd know by Wednesday that you were working hard to fail it and we'd stop you. And really, I point out to them that the grades are going to be normalized by the group work, that actually when you put groups of 6 together, the likelihood of them all being weak students or strong students is normalized. And what we're not doing in this, and I'm very happy with this, by the way, if they all get pretty much the same high marking. In the master's course, it doesn't matter. It matters to them because they care about those 2% more. Then the one who gets 71 thinks they're better than the 69, but actually statistically it means nothing on their actual course on the masters. So normalizing it and acknowledging that that's normalized is kind of an important part of it. And you can see this is the deliverables thing, and it's reminders don't panic all the way through. And then these are the required deliverables that they have to deliver by Friday. And essentially, as long as they do that and it's been reasonably checked, they're going to get a high merit. some are going to get distinctions, almost all of them, they're going to get high merits. We've had a few groups who've got low merits and even kind of just a little lower than that, but they worked hard at it. And then this is our marking, and we set very clearly on the deliverable sheet, only Will and Brian will be marking the Visa's opinion, Roland Berger's opinion has no sway on that, nor the successful final of the Dragon's Den. Project marking will be evaluated qualitatively on the basis of these. This means that the quality of the innovation itself is much less important to the LSE grade than other factors, based on whether you've shown successful sprint. So front and center on that. They also submit using Mural. We use Mural a lot. So Visa got us Mural, or Visa suggested Mural in COVID. And then I negotiated access to by calling up Mural and saying, give us a free license. And they've given us free Mural to do this. And they submit on Mural, which means they can all go and have a look at what everyone else did. So it's not hidden. It's like you can see what the other groups did. You can get a feel for yourself whether yours is. We've had very few complaints. And the other thing is, it's always, look, in industry, who are you going to complain to in industry? You can't stand the rest of your team. Tough. You didn't get to choose that. Who are you going to, what we're trying to create you the real industry experience. So complaining or thinking you can write, they do write a bit of a reflection as a team on their project work. And every day they're expected to reflect and discuss how they're doing as project teams among themselves. But we don't give much score for changing marks on an individual basis. You're stuck with your group. That's it. Top. And I think, so I went a bit over. I had to be really organized to do it, but we always call it a beta. I try to take the students with me so that they feel part of it, explain the logic of it, how it works and why. Reduce the stress and seriousness. We even give them a little stress relieving toy in their packs. So each of the groups has something to take it. You skin in the game, but it's not life and death. And then lots of points in the week where we de-stress them. So just like, let's stop for a second. We're going to have a talk, or we can go to pizza night or whatever it is.